Welcome to CNU Talks, Beyond the Great Lawn. CNU Talks is a virtual learning program created by and for the CNU community. Many of your beloved faculty and fellow captains will share topics which elicit thought and compassion, stimulate intellect, and connect us in profound ways. Today, I'm excited to introduce 2004 alumnus Alan Brooks. Alan graduated with a bachelor's in theater arts and currently serves as Chief Operating Officer of Building Momentum in Alexandria, Virginia. Upon graduation, he began his career as a theater director with Fairfax County Schools, then transitioning to the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. Alan spent 7 years serving as the center's interactive content producer for Arts Edge, an interactive education program for K-12 teachers, parents, and students. In 2015, Alan was approached with an opportunity to continue fulfilling his passion for creative problem solving with Building Momentum, a veteran-owned small business. At its core, Building Momentum is about teaching people what they're capable of. Instruction includes everything from 3D printing and welding to GPS, drones, and robotics. Their mission is to help the military, schools, and community groups learn ever-changing technology in a fast-moving world. When Alan isn't running daily operations for Building Momentum or spending time with his family, he is giving back to his community. Alan proudly serves on the board of directors for the Christopher Newport Alumni Society Board and was the founding president of the Theater CNU Alumni Chapter. Just this fall, he was also honored by the Alexandria Chamber of Commerce, earning his spot on their top 40 under 40 list. We hope today that you'll enjoy, as much as we do, CNU Talks.
Hi everyone, my name is Alan Brooks. I am a 2004 graduate of Christopher Newport. I left CNU from the Theater CNU program. I was a theater performance major and I have been an internationally known star of stage and screen ever since. That is not true. My talk today is going to be about pivoting, and that is a incredibly important skill to learn as a professional in any field, and it is a skill that was deeply embedded in me during my time at Theater CNU. So I'll take a minute to talk about my background and how I got from wanting to be an actor professionally to where I am as the COO of a company called Building Momentum. COO, for you younger graduates, is Chief Operating Officer. It is not a title that I knew what it was either. So first off, my background has been incredibly weird. Like I said, I left Christopher Newport intending to be an actor. I moved back to DC, which at the time was a burgeoning theater town, and now has become a really great place to perform and to become an actor or a performer of any kind. So I came back to DC, which is where I'm from. I'm from Alexandria originally, and thought I would be an actor. And there's an incredibly theater is an incredibly difficult industry to get a toehold in. There are so many things fighting against you. And I worked professionally for a couple of years. I did a couple of small pieces on stage. I did some film stuff. I did some TV stuff. I did what are called industrials. And I was working, but I wasn't making a living at it. And so I decided to become a teacher. And I was a high school theater teacher for better part of 4 years at what is now John Lewis High School in Springfield, Virginia. After I left teaching, I went to work at the Kennedy Center, the John F. Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts, as a producer of media content. So that means I created all sorts of cool stuff to teach people how to use the arts in their classroom. So I became somebody who helped other teachers integrate the arts more fully in their classrooms. And then my friend started a company with his colleague. So Building Momentum is the company that I'm with now, and I have been for 4 years now. And Building Momentum is a training and events company based in Alexandria, Virginia. It was founded in 2016 by Brad Halsey and Albert Vega. And our intention is to be the best training organization in the world. We teach people how to use all sorts of cool technology. We teach 3D printing and laser cutting and welding and robotics and electronics and all sorts of stuff, with the goal of making you the best possible problem solver that you can be. And you might be saying, how do you start off as an actor, work as a teacher, work in the arts, and end up helping run this organization that does 3D printing and tech? And frankly, it's because of that education that I got at Christopher Newport as an arts major. When you are a performer, when you are an artist, you are constantly trying to create something, making something, throwing that something away, trying it again. When you're acting and you're working with somebody else in a scene, you'll get through a piece and you'll say, okay, stop, let's start it over again. Let's try that differently. Hey, can you say that to me differently? The director's in your ear saying, hey, what do you actually mean in that scene? What do you want to say to her? What do you want to say to him? What are you feeling? What do you take it all back? Let's start over. Let's throw that out. Try this line, try that line. You were just constantly taught to change and to be malleable on your feet and be ready to pivot. And when I got into acting and the industry wasn't giving me the feedback and wasn't giving me the life that I was looking for, I needed to pivot. So I went to teach. And when teaching became something that I realized that I wasn't fulfilling me in the artistic way and the professional way that I wanted to, I had to pivot again and went to the Kennedy Center. And I worked there. I was at the Kennedy Center for almost 10 years. And I loved it. But then when Brad and Albert came to me and offered me the opportunity to join Building Momentum, it gave me an opportunity to pivot into something wholly new and to try something different and pivot again. And that's really what we teach all of our students as we are teaching them this technology, is that same ethos of being able to think on your feet and look at a problem, try a solution, throw it away, and start again. It's the most important thing that we teach, is this idea of constantly iterating your ideas. We have embedded the DNA of the arts, of that philosophy of the arts, of the try it over, try it again, try it once, try it again, try it over, try it again philosophy into scientific instruction, technology instruction. And it has become integral to the way that we teach technology. So a couple of things that we have been doing at Building Momentum. Also, as a company, we also embed that philosophy of pivoting and that philosophy of adapting to change into everything we do as a company writ large. So we were in a really small little 2,000 square foot office in Fairfax, Virginia, and we got big. We grew. We were able to acquire a bunch of technology and a bunch of tools. We needed a place to store that. Our staff was getting bigger. And so we looked to expand into a space where we can invite others into our workshop. And we opened a place called The Garden in Alexandria, Virginia. And when we opened The Garden, we made our space open for anyone who wanted to come in. And when we were opening it, a company came in and said, this space is awesome. Could we have our holiday party here? Now, we aren't a holiday. We aren't a party planning company. We don't host. Well, we do now. We didn't then. They said, this room is great. We really want to have our holiday party here. And we said, sure, let's try it. Let's see if there's a business model there. And it turns out there was. And the Garden quickly became the DC region's most sought after events facility. And prior to COVID, we had booked almost 70% of every weekend in 2020. Obviously, things have changed on that front, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. But the point is that an opportunity presented itself, and instead of saying, that's not what we do, that's not really in our wheelhouse, that's not really in our lane, we have essentially grown an entire second business inside of Building Momentum called The Garden. which is this events facility. Um, and that is indicative of the philosophy of everything that we do. Um, Now, when the pandemic hit in March, all of our work, and I'll talk a little bit more about our training work. Our training work is primarily with the Department of Defense. The U.S. Marine Corps is our biggest client, and to date, we've trained over 3,500 Marines in all of that cool tech that I talked about. And now all of that training has been conducted on base. So we will take a team, travel to Lejeune, North Carolina, or Pendleton, California, or Okinawa in Japan. We had planned to go to Darwin, Australia last week. And when the coronavirus pandemic started and the military training or the military travel restrictions went into place, we couldn't go anywhere. All of our work had stopped immediately. And we looked around at the landscape and we said, well, what can we do? How do we pivot again? And we tried a bunch of stuff that messed up, frankly. We tried training online like this. And the first time we did it, we ended up spending an entire day essentially being IT support for this poor Marine whose Mac hadn't been updated enough to be able to use the software that we were using. So we spent all day on video with him being like, well, what is your, what operating system are you using? Are you upgraded to this system? Have you used this version of software? Can you download this? Okay, we'll wait. We'll call you back in an hour. And it just didn't work that first day. We learned a lot from it. We tried to do something else. We tried to train exactly the same way that we did in person. And a lot of these things messed up and failed. And so we tried it again. We tried it again and we tried it again and tried it again. And now that training that was supposed to be in Australia last week still happened. We had a team of our just rock star trainers at the Garden in Alexandria, staying up all night long in their own socially distanced offices, training both U.S. Marine service members and Australian service members in Darwin, Australia on the web, something we never thought we would do. So we pivoted and we succeeded. Another thing that we did during COVID was take the philosophy of how we help people. So another thing that our company does that I didn't really talk about is disaster response and disaster relief. So we want our company to help people. Like I said, all of this technology that we teach sounds really scary. It's high level, it's high tech, it's very future focused, but it's really, really easy. 3D printing, additive manufacturing, laser cutting, welding, robotics, electronics, all of it is much easier than you think it is. And so when a disaster strikes, like Hurricane Dorian last year struck the Bahamas, we had a team on site on Grand Bahama Island a week after the hurricane let up. And we helped people. We did everything from repurpose solar panels to teach people about electronics and electricity so they could get their cell phones charging, to hammering tarps into roofs. But the point is that even in those places, we knew that we weren't going to stay there forever. So we taught people how to do a bunch of this stuff in the worst possible crisis you can imagine. We taught people how to use technology to help solve their problems. And so when we left, we brought home that philosophy, and we always keep that philosophy. And so when coronavirus struck, we shifted immediately into how do we train and how do we help? So within a week, based on a small grant that the city of Alexandria, where we're based, gave us, we built a UV-C, which is a type of ultraviolet light that the sun gives off that kills viruses really, really well, but doesn't hit the earth because it gets absorbed in the atmosphere. UV-C light. We built a UVC light robot that travels around the garden, cleaning spaces. It does it after hours, and it does it when no one's in the space, obviously, to keep people safe. But we started building that UV robot on the chassis of a robot that we had already built called Kegbot, which was for our events team. Kegbot was an autonomous robot for serving beer at parties. And we weren't having a lot of parties at the beginning of coronavirus. So we repurposed that. We pivoted what KegBot did into UVBot. And UV, learning all that stuff about UV systems taught us a ton about how to create disinfecting systems. And to date, we've built UVC disinfecting conveyor systems for a whole host of clients. We've sold them to the Department of the Navy. We've sold them to community groups. We've sold them to lots of places. And because of our ability to shift and our ability to pivot, we have thankfully not had to furlough or lay off any of our staff. We've maintained employment of our entire staff through this entire crisis, something we are incredibly proud of, but something that was incredibly hard to do. And at the beginning, we weren't sure if we were going to be able to pull off. But because we were able to, as an organization, look at the problem ahead of us, recognize that there were going to be a ton of failures, and recognize that we just needed to try something, we were able to pivot again and again and again over the last 6 months until we had a sustainable functioning training model, a sustainable functioning UV system. And our next one is actually going out this week that I'm recording, which is August 17th. So how do you do that? And it's hard. For those of you who might be listening to me who are still enrolled at Christopher Newport, please go take an arts class. I tie all of this philosophy and all of this capacity back to my time as an arts major. The ability to constantly try something, throw it away, try it again, try something, throw it away, try it again, is all comes from my time as an arts major. If you are a young professional, go take our arts programs. And I'm not going to just, the wrap up of this is not going to be just go study the arts, which you should, because they're awesome. But, so if you're a young professional, go find some time when we are able to gather once again, take an arts class. But for everyone, the basic idea is don't fear failure. Failure is a tool, just like everything else I teach. 3D printing, laser cutters, hammers, screwdrivers, failure. They're all tools. They help you accomplish a goal. And for us, our goal is problem solving. And you're never going to get somewhere if you only worry about what the end state solution is going to look like. You have to start with, what can I try today? And if you can get over the fear and get over the hump of trying something, embracing the idea that that something might fail miserably, then you're going to give yourself the opportunity, you're going to give yourself the confidence, and you're going to give yourself the permission to get to that end state that you're looking for. That project that you're delivering to your supervisor, that proposal you're delivering to your client, that performance that you're working on. If you can get over the fear of that first failure and embrace it, learn from it, take something from it and try again, you will be off to the races. So if you have any questions about this, about the work that we do, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. I've been so incredibly proud to be a Christopher Newport graduate these 16 years. And I cannot wait to be a part of the Christopher Newport community and family as it continues to grow. If you're an alumni or a new alumni, please reach out. We are here to be a part of your professional and personal lives for as long as you'll have us. Thanks again. Stay safe and healthy, everyone, and I look forward to hearing.